it started when I think after the censorship of my film, Syndrome of the Century. So I spent a year trying to fight the case and let the case known. So in the process, I just think about making something about this issue, but not directly, but more of the disappearance of minority, of a different kind of voice, because in Thailand is pretty monoculture that is being controlled by the government of what people should see, should hear. So so I start this from a book about Uncle Bunmi, who can recall his past life. So, and I like to share that stories because it's something that is not about repression. It's about just taking it all out, not only in one generation, but several generations of that, what he can remember, and the fact that he's a regular person is really important. That's been focused on my work for a long time of voice of normal people. I reached this village called Nabua, and as usual I talk to people and film, take photos, and then I travel. I moved on, but I couldn't forget that village, so I went back and decided to, okay, this is the place I like to explore on this history and how it relates to Uncle Bunmi in the book. That while Uncle could remember so many lives through hundreds of years, but for this, some people in this village, only a few decades they want to forget. So this kind of a resonance I want to present, and so I just shoot and of course about the future, and about to be transport somewhere, you know, by it makes a mixture of many things. I cannot pinpoint, you know, in concrete items, but it's more like mixed even with the political situation, that sometimes you were ignored, you are a group that been ignored, or you yourself kind of wish you were not in this country full of fascist practice. So so this thing that create this project, you know. In 2009, I have a chance to do a primitive project, which has an installation, books, and feature film, like a big survey of the memory of the Northeast.
เคยเกิดจะมองนี้ในศาสตร์หนึ่งที่อายจื้อบ่ได้อายฮู้แต่ว่าอายเคยเกิดจะมองนี้บ่ฮู้ว่าเป็นคนหรือว่าเป็นสัตว์เป็นผู้หญิงหรือว่าเป็นผู้ชาย
The area where the film is set, Nabua, has a very sad history. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it's a country that the city that is quite known in terms of the scholar, but kind of the public is not much interest in this village that has the spread of the communism came. It's the first village in Thailand because it's near Laos, the border. So it's come from South Vietnam and through Laos to here to there, and that the ideology of communism was really appealing for the people there because of the geography there. In the Northeast, it's not really it's not a nice place to live, you know, and it's full of political manipulation and all this kind of with the central Bangkok part try to dominate and kind of suppress in a way. So this is not very help in terms of funding education. So obviously, communism is very attractive. Yeah. So many people join the CPT, which is Communist Party of Thailand, and that many men went into the jungle because there's no choices. Because once the government know that they set up the camp in the temple, and that, you know, every morning you have to go to stamp before you go to rice field. You have to stamp like when you go to a discotheque, you know, stamp, and then come back at 4 or something, and then it's a village full of fear. And if you ask if you're communist, you say yes, you will be killed. So only women, children remain, and they were the brave one because they stay on to take care of the house and to kind of put the rice and other supply to their men in the jungle. For the past 5 years, and that when death and politics, when there's a political situation in Thailand start to be very intense, you know, you have a fraction and you have a fight of different ideology, and you are labeled this color, that color, and I realized that one day I woke up and I said to my boyfriend that, we're not very happy, we're not really free. Suddenly that night, I don't know, that morning I just say, you know, think about something that we cannot say in this country, and then we list, and there's a lot of things that we cannot say or do. Yeah, and then I start to, of course, like many people during that time, educate ourselves to internet, to whatever, and realize that the evil cycle that goes on. And then, you know, there's a sense of hopelessness living in Thailand. Of course, it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's a violent country. As a filmmaker, I try to look at it in the positive way, like you can either subvert it or fight for it, and yeah.
Sometimes the past can be very tormenting, but in your films, everything seems to be so peaceful. Even when Uncle Bumi talks about killing communists, everything is just, there's a sense of, there's a gentleness about the past.
It's just there. I just think, you know, some brutal memory or some negative ones will just happen. So film is like a therapy in a way to just look at it in a non-judgmental way, and that things happen, you know, and especially, like I said before, in Thailand, there's a certain kind of ignorance in the air that you just accept